This painting was never meant for anyone to see. Today, millions have seen it, but almost everyone gets its meaning wrong. The most terrifying thing isn't that Saturn is devouring his son. It's what this horrifying image reveals about fear, power, and the human mind. Look at it closely, and the first thing you notice isn't the myth. It's the violence of the brushwork itself. A huge, hunched figure looms out of total darkness, its eyes bulging wide, its mouth open mid-bite. Its fingers are dug so hard into the body it holds that the knuckles have gone white. The body itself is already missing its head. Part of an arm is gone too. Everywhere else is black, but the corpse glows pale against it, streaked with red. There is no landscape, no throne, no context at all. Just this one act, frozen at the worst possible moment, lit as if by a single candle in an otherwise empty room. To understand why a man would paint something this violent on his own wall, for no one but himself, we have to understand exactly where he was standing when he did it. In 1819, Francisco Goya bought a house outside Madrid known as the Quinta del Sordo, the House of the Deaf Man. It had been named after a previous owner who'd lost his hearing. By the time Goya moved in, the name suited him too. Decades earlier, an illness in his mid-40s had left him permanently deaf, and now, in his 70s, he had just survived a second brush with death, an illness severe enough that he was certain, at the time, he wasn't going to recover. Spain around him was no calmer. King Ferdinand VII had returned to the throne and was hunting down the liberals who had opposed him, and Goya, a man with plenty of history on the wrong side of that fight, had every reason to want to disappear from public life. So he did. He moved into this house alone, deaf, aging, politically exposed, and began painting directly onto its walls. Not commissioned work, not anything meant for a patron, a gallery, or a church. 14 murals in total, later given the name the Black Paintings, though Goya never called them anything at all. 6 of them went into this room, the dining room, and this is the one he placed facing his own table. Now here is where the mystery actually begins, because Goya wasn't inventing this scene from nothing. The subject is Saturn, the Roman god who, warned by a prophecy that one of his children would overthrow him, chose to eat each of them the moment they were born. It's an old story. Rubens had painted the same myth 2 centuries earlier, and his version is almost stately by comparison, a composed, classical scene, the kind of thing you'd expect hanging in a palace. In the myth itself, the children aren't even killed. They're swallowed whole and later brought back up alive, once Saturn is tricked into swallowing a stone in place of his youngest son. It's a story about a plot foiled, not a story about murder. Goya changed all of that. His Saturn isn't calculating. He looks unraveled, almost caught in the act, as if someone had walked in on him. And the body he holds isn't whole and swallowed. It's being consumed like meat, and it is unmistakably, permanently dead. Goya took a myth about a trick that ultimately fails and turned it into something with no trick, no rescue, and no ending at all. That was a choice. The question is why he made it. It gets stranger. None of the 14 paintings in this house were given titles by Goya. The name we use today, Saturn Devouring His Son, comes from an inventory made after he had already left Spain for good. We don't know what he called it, or whether he called it anything. And when historians look closely at the body being devoured, they can't even agree on what it's supposed to be. Some argue it isn't a child at all, but a fully grown adult, which, if true, quietly breaks the entire myth the title is built on. If the figure isn't a child, this may not be a story about Saturn at all. Some scholars read it instead as an image of Spain itself, a country that had just spent a generation devouring its own people through war, purges, and political revenge. Others look for the answer somewhere closer to home. Goya's wife had died years before he moved into this house. Of at least 5 children they'd had together, only one, his son Javier, had survived into adulthood. His letters from decades earlier show a man consumed with anxiety every time that child fell ill. One historian has argued that this painting isn't about myth or politics at all, but about the particular private fear of a father, the fear of what a parent, in trying to protect a child, can end up doing to them instead. And there's a third reading that has nothing to do with fatherhood at all. Goya was old. He was deaf. He had just survived what he believed was his own death. Around this same time, he painted a self-portrait showing himself in bed, ghostly faces crowding around him, his doctor the only thing standing between him and the end. Some historians believe Saturn isn't a father in this painting at all. He's time itself, the oldest meaning the god's name carried, long before Rome ever attached a family story to it. And what he's devouring isn't a child, but everything, including the body of the man who painted him. Three completely different explanations: political allegory, paternal guilt, the fear of dying, and Goya, characteristically, left no notes, no letters, no comments to any friend, telling us which one, if any, he meant. There's one more complication, and it changes how much we can even trust what we're looking at. Goya died in 1828, in exile, and for decades afterward, almost no one outside his household ever saw these walls. It wasn't until the 1870s, when a French baron bought the property, that the murals were even rediscovered, by then badly deteriorated after 50 years of exposure. To save them, a restorer was hired to strip them from the plaster and mount them onto canvas, a process so damaging that large amounts of paint were lost in the transfer. Photographs taken just before the murals were removed show details that are no longer visible on the canvas today. Which means the painting hanging in the Prado right now, the one reproduced in textbooks and memes and documentaries just like this one, may not be identical to the one Goya actually painted on his wall. We are analyzing a wound as much as we are analyzing an image. So we're left with a work that has no title, no explanation, three competing theories about what it means, and even some uncertainty about whether we're seeing the whole of what Goya originally made. And yet he chose to eat his meals in front of it, every day, for years, without ever telling another living person why. Maybe that's the real question this painting leaves behind. Not which theory is correct, but what it means that a man in his final years, deaf, isolated, and certain he was running out of time, needed to live inside this image, privately, with no audience at all. Fear doesn't usually get painted this honestly. Most people hide it. Goya put his on a wall he looked at every single day. Which explanation do you find most convincing? The political reading, the personal one, or the one about mortality? And does it change anything, knowing that what we're looking at today may not even be exactly what he painted?